Oh no.
Yeah, let me see. I think we're going live now. Yep, it seems to have popped up. Well, that was really weird. So, good afternoon. I just want to make sure we have sound. Um, Good afternoon. My name is Amber, and I'm a business and technology librarian at the Boston Public Library. And I wanted to thank you all for joining me today for the live stream. So I have a setup. Today is going to be a very basic and gentle introduction to Audacity. And so I will bring up some resources for further learning at the end. But if you have any questions or whatnot, you can pop them into the chat on the side in the YouTube chat, and I'll be looking for that as well. Or you can email us, or you can tweet at us as well. I sent the instructions in an email if you registered ahead of time, but you can tweet at us at BPL Kirstein, and I'll just pop that in the chat. And so today is just going to be like a gentle overview if you've never used Audacity before. Audacity is a really cool tool. It is an open source digital audio workspace that you can use to create podcasts or any other sort of audio projects, such as like a online radio drama or anything that you would wanted to record. So without further ado, I'm just going to actually pop up Audacity so you can sort of see what it looks like. So this is the Audacity interface, and I might actually have to switch up my view a little bit, but this is typically what you would see when you are looking at a project in Audacity. So I played around, and so we'll talk about some of the effects and whatnot that we will do in this particular workshop today. So in this top right hand corner, actually, can you guys see my mouse? Cool. In this top right hand corner are the controls. So you can pause, play, stop, you fast forward to the beginning or snap to the end. So snap to the beginning and snap to the end, and then record. And those are really, really helpful to know, especially as we begin. And I will talk about some of the preferences that might be helpful to you as well. We're going to be using the select tool, which is this I bar here, possibly the zoom tool and the envelope tool, and this time shift tool, which is depressed right here. There's a couple of other tools in this window as well that you might want to get used to, such as the cut, paste, and duplicate, as well as these monitors over here. So I just was goofing around earlier, but this is typically what a multi-track project would look like. Most people think, oh, it's a free and open source software. Can I do the things that I could do with a professional digital audio workspace, such as Audacity or Pro Tools or Logic or even GarageBand, which ships natively in the Mac? And actually, I'll just switch to my desktop capture here, just so you can see. You'll be able to peek behind the curtain a little bit, just so you can see. There's a couple of things I did want to highlight. I am working on a Mac, so your experience might be a little bit different if you're working on a Windows, if you decide to do that. But I just wanted to call attention to that, just in case folks were curious. So up here is my menu bar, and this is where we're going to find a bulk of the effects and tools that I will be talking about today. And also some of the, let me actually collapse that. Some of the actual tools and processes that we'll be using. So here we are. You can see this. Oops, I just popped that up. So also, if you're wondering how I'm doing this, I'm using OBS, and I actually did have a class on how to use OBS. So if you wanted to see that, it is in the playlist below. But OBS is also open source software and allows you to stream. I noticed there were quite a few librarians on the list today, which is really cool. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always on the All Regions listserv. Thank you for joining me. But a couple of other things I want to call out right here. This is a monitor. So when you're recording, it's helpful to sort of see what's going on. So this is our input monitor right here. I just clicked to start monitoring so I could see how loud I'm speaking. So a typical recording session, you want to be careful not to be going into the red too much, because then you'll do something called clipping. And we'll talk about that a little later. We also have a playback monitor over here. And what the playback monitor does is it allows you to see how loud your project is on playback. And on the bottom here, below all these sort of controls, is sort of our audio setup. So our inputs and our outputs. This is my input. I have an audio interface, which is a USB audio interface with a mic, but you might have something where you use display audio or desktop mic or something of the sort. This is how we're going to record our devices, or how to record our tracks. So right now I'm recording in mono. I have one mic, which you probably saw in the camera here. So I have one mic, so I'll be recording in mono. And then, so you guys can hear what's going on in the actual Audacity interface. I have it to this multi-output device, but you might want to change it to your built-in output or an audio display or some other display here. What's really cool about Audacity is that it's pretty flexible. And you can play around with it as well. You can actually move parts of the audio interface, so I can grab, it's not going to let me grab it. So I can change the size of these sliders, and if it will let me, I'm going to stop monitoring because there we go. You can grab different parts of the interface and actually change it. It might be helpful for you to see, for example, the meters this way, rather than having them at the top. And if you goof up, you can actually just go into, let's see, oops, I forgot how to do this. You can reset the window so that you can make it more useful to your playback, if it makes sense. Geez, I'm having a brain fart here. Excuse me. But you can just reset this so it pops back in. And actually, I can just pop it back in myself if I really wanted to. So let's do that. And I'm just going to pop that in right there. And I'm just going to see if we have any questions now. Okay, cool. Oh, and thank you to my assistant, Amanda. She's in the background, and she has popped the class to OBS in the background there. So what's going on here? I want to show a couple of things that are going on. These are a couple of tracks. You'll see one is a mono track. It has, and we'll go over this again at the end, or when we're talking about importing audio. One is a mono track, which means that essentially there is one pathway of sound, meaning there's like one bit of sound. And you'll hear it in both the left and the right headset or speaker. In a stereo track, you'll have two different waveforms, and they're on separate sort of tracks in the interface here. So one of these, top one's the left ear, and the bottom one is the right ear. So you can hear the difference between these two. This is just a crummy song I made like a while ago is just as a sample. But you can see that in a stereo track, the bottom and the top don't necessarily have to match, but it is common to see that sort of thing. And let's sort of begin at the beginning. So let's say I'm just going to get rid of those tracks. Super easy. You can undo a lot. But let's say I just wanted to start by recording in a bit of audio. Let's say you're doing a podcast and you're trying to record something, or maybe you're making an instructional video for your work, something like that. What you can do is you just make sure that you have your input and you can click to start monitoring. And you really want to speak how you want to speak in the, when you're recording. So if you're, right now I'm in teacher voice, so it's pretty loud. And actually I can step away from the mic, or I can adjust the input on this. So I can actually, oh, that's the playback speed. Oh, it's not going to let me do that. Sometimes if you have a particular device, you have to control it on the device, the controls. I actually have a plug-in USB audio interface, which, depending on the level of projects you want to do, is something that you can buy, and they're cheap. And it actually helps with the production of the quality of the audio, and I can answer questions about that later if anyone has those questions. But you would adjust your audio, and you don't want it. You want it between 12 and 6, essentially, because what happens is if you go past the 0, you get something called clipping, and that's not great. But let's do a sample recording just to see. So I'm just going to start by recording some audio. And again, I have my input here in Pro Tools Quartet. I have it set to mono, because in stereo, I wouldn't have a secondary source, so it would only record in one channel there. And then I have my output here to multi-output device, but you would put it to your headphones or whatnot. And so I am going to record. So I can hit the R button, or I can just press the big, red button. So tempting, right? And start recording. I'm going to pause, think about what I'm going to say, and begin. Hello, my name is Amber DeAngelis, and I am a business and technology librarian at the Boston Public Library. And today, we're going to learn how to use Audacity, a free and open source digital audio workspace you can use to create projects such as podcasts and radio dramas. And just hit stop. So you'll notice here that I've created a waveform, and this is kind of what you want to see. You want to see these peaks and valleys and get a feel for, the audio here. And the waveform is especially helpful as you're going forward and editing. You can see a couple of places where I was louder or softer, and I might need to actually cut this up, or add some silence, or add some space. I'm actually just going to pause a little bit and see if there are any questions. I'm just going to switch back to the camera before I move forward. So I'm just going to pop in. No email questions, no Twitter questions. Cool. Okay. I was just checking just to make sure. But I will transition back. So here we can, I'm going to hide myself. Here we are going to see the waveform. And what's cool is I can play it back and listen to it and see how garbage I sound. We're good. Hello, my name is Amber DeAngelis, and I am a business and technology librarian at the Boston Public Library. And today, we're going to learn how to use Audacity, a free and open source digital audio workspace you can use to create projects such as podcasts and radio dramas. All right, so it played that whole sort of sample here. Now there's a couple of things that are going on with this clip that we might need to address. It sounded a little quiet, which is not too bad, but we can play around with that and actually make the, we can actually make this a little bit more, we can make it louder if we wanted to. We can amplify this. We can also get rid of some of the silence or insert the silence. So let's talk about a couple of common editing techniques that you would use for this audio recording. If I use this select tool, think of this as like, see it, the I-beam, it's kind of like the cursor in a Word program. I can highlight and select parts of the track, which is really fun. And I can hit the delete key on my keyboard and actually get rid of audio or I don't want. What's really cool is I can also select a piece of audio, podcasts and radio, and I can repeat and listen to it. So if I'm hitting space, podcasts and radio, what space does is that hits play. And because I have this little loop here, it will only play this little selection because I've selected it. If I hit shift space, podcasts and radio, podcasts and radio, podcasts and radio. What shift space does is it loops something. Maybe you're listening to a particular section and you're just trying to figure it out, see what's going on, and get a feel for a particular section. You can loop it. So actually, I'm going to go up to here to select, and I can hit none, and I can remove my selection really easy. All right, so that's how you can listen to a selection of the audio. And remember, we deleted a little portion of it as well. What I can also do is is I can also play from a specific point on this timeline that I've created here. All right, so if I click here in the track, I just clicked with this I-beam, and I hit Audacity, a free and open source digital audio workspace you can use to create. And actually, let's make that meter longer so I can see that. So I can start from any place in the project. So if you click anywhere in the actual track area, it will just place this vertical line, which you may or may not be able to see on the screen here. But there's a vertical line, and I can touch it with this little hand, and I can actually click and drag to make a selection. And if I hit the space bar, free and open source digital audio works, and I can adjust the length of this. So I can actually push out a selection, which is really cool, because then I can do all sorts of edits with that. But if I just wanted to play from the beginning, I'm just going to go up here and hit select and hit none. I can actually go back to the beginning using this shuttle button right here, and it'll pop it back. And I can start playing again from the beginning by hitting the space bar. And that's the space bar at the bottom of your... Hello, my name is Amber D'Angelo. And by hitting the space bar, I stop it. But when I hit the space bar, notice what happens. Hello, my name is Amber D'Angelo, and I am a business and... Every time I hit the space bar, it always goes back to either the beginning or the beginning of the selection. Maybe you don't necessarily want to do that. Maybe you want, thanks Adobe Flash later. Remind me later. Updates, right? Perhaps you just want to actually stop it at a particular section. What you can do, if you want it to stop and then keep going from where you've stopped it, is hit the pause button. So I'll hit the space bar again. Oops. And have it play. Hello, my name is Amber D'Angelo, and I'm a business and tech. And I can hit the pause button. And then if I hit the play button, oh, it started again from the... Hello, my name is Amber D'Angelo, and I'm a business... If you hit the pause button and you hit the play... I always do that. You unpause it. Sorry, I always get that confused because in other digital workspaces, it's actually kind of funny. If you hit the space bar, it will usually pick up from where you wanted to start playing. But that's kind of just a funny quirk of Audacity. If you just want to start playing at, say, 5 seconds, you can also, instead of clicking on the track region, you can just click on the timeline here and click Librarian at the Boston Public Library and then pause. And today we're going to learn how to use and so by hitting the pause button, I'm doing that on the keyboard actually, and that's the P key on the keyboard. You can keep playing free and open source digital. So that's just a little tips and tricks. And actually, let me just go back to the questions and see if there's any questions so far. To live streaming. Okay, I don't see any questions in here. And I don't see any questions in the email, and I don't see any questions on Twitter. But yes, if you have any questions, you can pop them into the live chat, or you can email us at businessref@bpl.org. But it seems like we got a good crowd today. Okay. So let's, I'm going to pop that back down and I'm just going to transition back. So this is our one track here. If I wanted to go and zoom in, I can use the zoom tool. And so I can actually click, for example, on a part of a track, and I can zoom in. And you can see the wavelengths or the waves on this track. Essentially what this is like the loudness that I am speaking at. You might hear some people say gain or other terms like that. But you'll see this up and down, so you can see where I get kind of loud and kind of quiet. You can also see the breath that I have here. So if we were to just cycle this, hello. All right. Or actually, it was a click. So I can cycle this again. Hello. All right. And if I wanted to select it, just to actually hear the whole thing and loop it, I can hit Shift and space. So that's the Shift key, which is on either side of the keyboard, and space. Hello, 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 and hit space again. So you can hear that click at the beginning. I do a lot of clicks with my speaking, but what I can do is I can actually just grab that and I can delete it at the beginning. Super easy. This button right here fits the track to the window, which is super helpful. So if you have a really long project, you can fit the project to the width of the window, which is super helpful. And you can also fit a selection to the width, which is helpful if you're working on something that's like really, really minutia, and you can zoom in that way. So I'm going to do fit project to width. So this is our project so far. Not bad, right? Pretty cool. So you won't always be recording stuff in the natively into Audacity. You might have pre-recorded things such as music or interviews that you may have done in the field. So you can actually import audio tracks really simply into Audacity. All right. So I will show you a little bit right here. So I have these two tracks here. Here's just like a weird song that I made. It is an MP3 file, just so you can see. And I drag and drop it. Here it is. This is an example of a stereo track. And you can see here the wavelength, the waveform here, and it's a music form. It's been mixed, and you can see sort of the peaks and troughs of how that music is going to go on the particular background music. So if I play this, it's going to sound terrible. You want to know why? So today we're going to... So because because the music here is actually kind of loud, we need to minimize it. Not minimize it, lower the volume of it so it's just in the background. And that's really relatively easy to do with Audacity. There's a couple of ways to do that. The first is actually you can just change the gain of the track, but I don't recommend necessarily doing that. The other tool you can use is just this envelope tool, which is actually really cool. And what you can do is you can sort of adjust how low and a track can be. So if you just want something to appear in the background, you can. And today, oops, I want to start from the beginning. So I'm just going to get rid of my selection and we'll start at the beginning. Hello, my name is Amber DeAngelis, and I'm a business and technology librarian at the Boston Public Library. And today, that might still be a little too loud, but we can play around with that as well. I might not even like that. I can even get rid of that track. It's really easy to sort of play around with these. So maybe there's another song that works a little bit better. But also, there's a problem with the track that I don't really like, or the problem with this project that I don't really like. It starts right at the beginning, which can be not the best. So let's say I just want to inject some, oops. By the way, when I'm hitting undo, it's Command Z on a Mac keyboard and Control Z on a Windows keyboard. So let's get out of the envelope tool and actually make sure I'm at the beginning. I've hit this shuttle back to the beginning. It's the home button right here. And I can actually put some silence at the beginning of this track. Or if I really wanted to, I can use this time shuttle tool, and I can move it back and forth. There's a couple of reasons why I may or may not want to just do this. If I've timed something to music, I might want to, insert pauses, or if I have other tracks of dialogue that I'm putting in. Let's say I have an interview from someone else, and I want to pop it in, and I want it to come in at a specific point. If I just like move this around, or I might accidentally move it around, it might sort of mess with my timing. So I'm just going to put that like that. And I can actually just generate some silence. So see this right here? If we go up to the Generate tab, we'll hit Silence up at the top. Ugh. Let's just make that easier to read. So what happened is because I had a selection, it generated some silence over here. Whoops! That happens occasionally. So actually, let's go over here and hit Select, and we'll hit None. And we'll actually just get rid of that track over there. That was funny that happened. So we'll go back here and we'll hit Generate. Oh, it keeps doing that. Oh, I know why. I have a preset up, and this might be why it's being goofy. So I bet if I uncheck it, it'll do it. So sometimes it's a good idea to look at your preferences. I have something in recording. Oh, no, it's not there. That's funny. Huh. I thought because I had a particular box checked, and I must have unchecked it. You can record on a new track. You can set something to, you can set a project to record on a new track. I thought that's why it was doing that. So that's funny. I just want to insert that at the beginning. So let's actually go back and select nothing. Generate. Silence. That's fine. We can use our time track over here, and we can move it. And we can pop this up to the next track. And actually, this allows me to sort of demonstrate something pretty cool. You can join two tracks together. If I go to the Select tool here, this is that I bar again. If I select these two tracks, what I can do is I can go to the let me see. I can never remember where it is. Under edit and clip boundaries, I can join. And I've now made this all one unit, which is really helpful because before I had this split here. And let's say I wanted to move this bit of silence with this bit of track. I would have had to make sure to move both together. But if I goofed and accidentally deselected one of these, it might goof with my timing again. So I'm just going to undo that. And by the way, the undo button is also up here as well. Now I've been goofing around a lot, and let's say I just totally screwed this up. You can actually go back into your history. Let's see, where is it? So if you go into, I can never remember. History. Here we go. So if you go into view and history, you can go back and you have almost unlimited undos. So you can see all of the stuff that you've done. So let's say I wanted to go back to where I added the envelope or whatever, I can do that as well. I have gotten into the weeds a little bit, and so I just want to check to see if there's any questions. Thank you, Mr. Lemon. What if I wanted to make the ending of a song fade away? How do I do that? So I'm actually going to pop in another track in here. So this track is special for a couple of reasons. You can work with a bunch of file formats in, and I'm going to get to your question, Mr. Lemon, in a second. So if you can work with a bunch of different formats. So this format that I've put in here is an AIF file, which is an uncompressed audio file. Before, that other weird song that I put in was an MP3 file, which is compressed. And I'll talk about that a little later. But Audacity gives you the ability to sort of work with a few different types of audio that are encoded in particular types of formats. And there is a plugin that you can download to make sure that you can add OGG files or FLAC files as well. So if you wanted to work in those particular file formats, but keep in mind that most folks will be working with a WAV format for a format or an MP3. But Audacity doesn't ship natively with it. So now on to Mr. Lemon's question. So I have this fade over here, or this song down here. And let's say I want to fade it out. I'm going to cut off the tail end of this song right here, actually. And I'm going to go into my select tool, because there's like a weird sort of ambient thing at the end here. And I'm just going to hit delete because I want this to end. I could use the envelope tool, but it doesn't actually fade it out all the way. So I'll show you what I mean in a second. So if I go to the envelope tool, and let's say I put in the control point here, and a control point here, and then at the end, if I pull this down, you'll see like, it doesn't actually go all the way to the end. It doesn't actually go to 0. It still is abrupt. So we'll play that. And that doesn't really work as nicely. So we'll undo that. So if I actually want to fade that out, it's just actually really simple. And I'm just going to get rid of these control points. I'm going to highlight the end of this song. Oops. And make sure I'm in my select tool. I'm going to highlight the end of my song. And there's actually a number of effects in here. And you can do a fade in as well as a fade out. So I'm going to do a fade out here, and it's going to do that for me. So I'm actually just going to start playing from here. And now it sort of fades out all the way. You can actually, in many digital audio workspaces, you have the ability to adjust the ramp or the amount at which something fades. So you'd have to combine this generate fade effect with the actual envelope tool. So let's say you want to actually have this fade out a little bit quicker towards the end. You would put, a control point here and then another one and then squeeze it a little more. So it fades even quicker, and you can pull these so you can adjust the ramp and how much it fades, because the fade generating is just a straight line. So if you want more of a curve, and you can see what that sounds like in a second. So you can have it, instead of being more gradual, like actually just fade out in a curve kind of shape, if that makes sense. All right. I hope that... Oh, you can't see the Audacity? Oh, I had myself. Crap. I'm going to have to redo that. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That was the perils of... So I'll show that again. I'm so sorry. So, when you have too many multiple sources, I saw it over there and... So that's my fault, guys. So what I did was I have this like weird ambient thing at the end, and I just deleted that out. And you can actually cut off the end of the song a little bit if you wanted to make sure that it's abrupt. But if you go to where it says generate up here, not generate, effect, we have a fade in. So if you wanted to fade in at the beginning, or you can fade in at the beginning of any track region where there are sounds. So like, let's say there's some, I'll show you at the beginning of like, let's say I wanted to fade in here. I could add that here, but if we go to generate, but if I wanted to fade out, I would do this fade out. So actually what I need to do is I want to go into my selection tool. I'll do this again, and I'll highlight here. So I will select from about here, and then I'll go into effect, and I'll do fade out. And so what I was talking about is it's a gradual fade out. So it's completely even. It's the rate at which the volume is turned down is constant. So you'll hear that right now. And you can see that in the waveform. But what you can do is you can use the envelope tool if you want it to fade out a little faster. And you can sort of combine that so it's much quieter. So I'll show you what that looks or sounds like. So sorry about that. But that was a great question. In traditional DAWs, like this is all usually one setting where you can adjust the shape of how something fades out. In this, you have to combine the two. But actually, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening here. So I did talk about the history, and actually I want to make sure that I showed that to you folks. I can never figure out. So under view, if you click on history, you can see the full history of everything that I've done up until this point. I've created a new track, and you can see all these things. So I can bounce back and forth to these particular stages. This all sticks until you close your program. And why is this important to remember? Many of the edits that you make in Audacity are something called destructive edits. So like once you save this, you might not necessarily be able to undo some of the work that you have done. So be mindful of that and keep pure copies of audio that you have separately. So you might want to record things and then import them into a project afterwards. So that's something you might want to think about. And so I think, did I show? Ooh, crumb. So I wanted to show at the beginning, you can join two tracks. So I'm just going to select these two tracks, and I'm going to do edit, clip boundaries, join. And I could join these two tracks, and like, let's say I wanted to fade in for whatever reason, this track of myself speaking. I can sort of highlight this and I can go to Effect and I can hit Fade In. And you can hear my voice fade in. I don't necessarily... Hello, my name is Amber D'Angelo. It doesn't really make sense to do that, but like if you had music that you wanted to fade in, this track already sort of does that, and you can see that by the waveform. You can fade in music or whatnot. So, oops. So hopefully that's fine and works out fine. Let me just check to see if there's any other questions. But that was a great question. Another thing you can do is, I didn't talk about splitting tracks a little bit. Let's do something kind of funny here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solo this track. If you noticed, every time I've played, I've soloed this track. I've been hearing both the music and the audio. If you don't want that, and let me go to select, I'll hit none. If you don't want that necessarily, you can just listen to one track. So here's the silent part that I created. Hello, my name is Amber D'Angelis, and I am a business and tech. And by soloing the track, I don't have to listen to the music every time. Hello, my name is Amber D'Angelis. And actually, let's say I was going a little too quickly through this, what I can do, which is a kind of a cool tip, is like I can add some space to a recording. And what I mean space is, and let me zoom in so we can see this. I'm going to use the zoom in button here. And I think I want to be right here. And today, yes. So actually, I'm going to get rid of that breath. So I'm going to select this. And I can delete this if I wanted to, or I can actually just have it insert a silence. So if I hit Command I, what will happen is like I can actually just like have that little chunk of track right there, and I can lift that out if I wanted to. And Command I is just splitting at the playhead. I can just also just delete this if I wanted to. Be careful when you're doing this. Yeah, okay. If you have a couple of different voices you've joined, how do you even out the various volumes? Aha! So let me show you. I'm actually just going to add a new track. Hold on one second. And I'm just going to mute this as well. So I'm going to add a track because I forgot to record just some pre-recorded audio of me talking. So I'm just going to add a new mono track because that's what I have available to me. I'm going to go to my D selection. I'm going to hit none. And actually, I want to go to the end here, and I'm just going to start recording. I'm just going to start recording just some random words just so you can see. And I'm, that's annoying. Hold on one second. Is yelling at me. Had the wrong track selected. That's okay. I'm just going to start recording. I had the wrong track selected. And so, see, this is a problem, actually. I'm too close to my mic, and this is going to sound like garbage. But we can fix this a little bit. But honestly, if you see waveforms like this appearing, you should re-record the audio if you can. So there's two things you can do. My recommendation would be to, if you wanted to make something a little bit more loud, you can use the, so I'm going to go back here, and I unmuted that track. If I wanted to make this more loud, what I can do is I can select this, and then I can go to Effect, and I can go to Amplify, and I can actually pump it up, and I can preview it. Hello, My name is Amber DeAngelis, and I am a business and technology librarian at the Boston Public. And I can hit OK. And you can see I've made this a little bit bigger. Whoops. This is problematic. I'm going to be honest with you. If I saw this and if you had the ability, you should re-record it. But you can go again to that effect, and you can go again to amplify, and then you can kind of duck it down. I'm just going to start recording. I had the wrong track selected. And so, see, this is a problem. I'm just going to hit OK. And now these look relatively similar. But I was probably clipped a little bit, so higher frequencies, my voice might have gotten cut out. But I used that same amplify tool to sort of bring that down. Let's see. So I hope that flow of history, that answers your question. You can use the amplify tool, and it's a really quick and dirty way of sort of doing that. So, Mr. Lemon, is it possible for a stereo track to add an extra quirk for left or right ear? By quirk, I mean a whisper or something random, like a voice babbling in the background. So you're dabbling with sound design. Yes. So actually, I can do something kind of goofy here. I can hard pan this to the left. And you might not be able to hear this because this is going to be traveling through OBS. So it might actually pan back to the center. But this should actually just pull everything to the left speaker. So like if you had something on a different track that was just like, hello, like if you're doing an ASMR thing, you can definitely play around with that. So I'm just going to, I want to start. I'm just going to start at the beginning. So this will sound weird, or you might not notice it. Hello, my name is Amber DeAngelis, and I am a business and technology librarian at the Boston Public Library. And today, we're going to learn how to use Audacity, a free and open source digital audio workspace you can use to create projects. So you can pan left and right on this, on that track, and sort of play around with that. So that is something that you can do, and you can create like a new track for that. So hopefully that answers your question, Mr. Lemon. So like, especially if you're creating a soundscape, like let's say you're doing podcast, that's like the quick and dirty way of doing it. There are ways to automate that. I believe you might have to play around with that, but there is a bunch of effects in here as well that you can play around with. There's also a click removal. So like if you have like someone who has like plosives, the popping noise, you can play around with that. Or if there is clicking, you can select a track, and you basically highlight the track, and you can do that. Actually, let's play around with some songs. So hold on. It's in technology. I keep selecting the wrong thing. Let's select, I think this is what I want to select. Hello, my name is Amber DeAngelis, and I am a business and technology librarian at the Boston Public Library. All right, let me show you something funny. Let's say you want to goof around with some sound effects, but you don't want to like mess around with your original recording. If you hit Command D or Control D in your keyboard, words, what you can do is you can actually play around with a particular piece of track. So let's say you want to apply some sound effects and you don't know exactly what it's going to do. What you can do is you can go to Effect, we can add an echo, and we can hit OK. And we can see how that sounds. If it'll play. Hello. My name is Amber DeAngelis, and I'm a business. And that sounds awful. So we can goof around with that. There's also other effects, such as you can change the tempo, you can change the speed, and you can change the pitch. So like I can actually make myself have like a squeakier voice or a lower voice. So we can play around with that. Hello, my oop, that didn't work. So effect. Let's see. Change pitch. Oh, I switched the wrong thing. So let's give myself like a monster voice.
Hello.
Oops.
My name is Amber DeAngelis, and I am a business and technology librarian.
I'm a Keebler elf. I went the wrong direction. So you can goof around with that. There's also something called change tempo, so you can make things slower, or you can. It'll tell you it'll change the tempo without changing the pitch. So if I wanted to go slow, it's Amber DeAngelis. Oops, it's not doing it the way I want it to. Generate effect. Change tempo. Hello, my name is Amber DeAngelis, and I am a business and technology librarian. You can preview all this stuff, and actually, if you find that someone speaks too fast and you just want to slow them down a little bit, you can make a preset. So let's say you interviewed someone in the chat box, you can save the preset, and so every time they're speaking, you can apply it. So that's really helpful. Let's see. So that's one thing. So I've just been talking about some editing stuff, but let's talk about like saving and exporting a little bit. So if we do file, what this is going to do is it's going to say save a project. And you're going to get this note here, and save project is for an Audacity project, not an audio file. So essentially what's going to happen is you're saving a file folder. So we'll hit OK. And I'm just going to call this dumb test, for example. And I'm going to throw that on my desktop. Now, notice the file type. It's going to say an .aup file. Again, this is it's a project file, so it's essentially a file folder. So what's going to be in it? It's going to be the audio we recorded. It's also going to be links to the audio that I have included, such as this music over here. And then also what's going to be included is like kind of like an XML file that says, oh, Amber, applied these effects at these times, and the music should fade out at this point, or there should be an echo or reverb applied here. And then we're going to hit save. So this AUP file, you can upload that and save that, and you can share that with other people. The good thing about Audacity is if you have a Mac or a PC, folks can actually use it. So on the Mac, natively, there's such thing as GarageBand. But like for folks on Windows, they might not have access to that. So someone theoretically can actually open up this file on their computer who is a Windows user. If I wanted to export this, I would go to File, Export, and I have a few options here. I can export this as an MP3, which I mentioned earlier is compressed audio. So compressed audio essentially makes it easier for file sharing. MP3 is usually what you would hear when you're burning something on a CD, or if you are, sharing in a music service. So that is, you can do the quick export this way. Wave files are essentially uncompressed audio, and uncompressed audio is really helpful. Let's say, especially for film, let's say you're just recording a narration for some instructions on how to do something, or or just like a narration of a story that's going to be accompanied with some pictures. You'd want to export the uncompressed audio, because let me actually show you something. I'm going to solo this track and actually zoom all the way way in so you can see what's going on here. See all these little dots? Effectively, what's happening when I'm recording the audio is it's not like a pure stream of information. It's actually a snapshot. And you'll be able to see that down in this bottom corner over here, that the snapshot is actually 44,100. So that essentially means the sample rate is at this particular rate, which is hertz. So 44,100 is pretty standard. You might see other standards such as 48,000, and that's typically used for film. So if you wanted to do that, use this audio for film, you might actually want to change the project rate to a different sample rate. But then effectively, I forgot what I was going to say. Effectively, this is sampled at a particular frequency, or at a particular rate, so that you can hear me continuously. It's kind of like frames. It's like a snapshot of a picture. It's just this many times, so you get that continuous audio feeling. So when you export as MP3, it's a smaller file. If you export as WAV, it is a larger file, and the quality won't degrade. That's the big thing you need to take away from this, is that the quality won't degrade when you're like putting that in a film project. So if I just go export audio, so I'll just do fit to project. And if I just do, I'm going to take the solo off. So if I wanted to export this, I'll do File, Export, Audio. I have a few things here. So I have a couple of extra file formats in here because I downloaded a plugin. But you can play around with these. Like, honestly, you would most likely be using a WAV format or an MP3 for most folks, especially if you're using Windows. AIFF is the like iTunes stuff, yeah, you would just click one of these. So if I exported this as a WAV file, it'd be huge, and or not huge, but much bigger. And I will just put this on the desktop, and I would hit save. Note again, when you're exporting this, you'll get actually the opportunity to add some metadata. So you can put that in. You could put in the track title. You can make any comments that you want. You can say like, oh, what is the software here? For whatever reason, it put in GarageBand. And you can go through these menus and sort of do that and hit OK. Now, I have this MP3 here. Actually, it's a WAV file. I have this WAV file on my desktop, which is different than this AUP file. This can be played on any device. Whereas this needs I would need these two files to be able to play the file on the computer with Audacity. I can send someone this. What's actually really cool is I can make a selection, and I can do File, Export, and I can export selected audio. So let's say I have one particular section I want to send to someone, and actually, let me cancel this. By the way, you can sample more than one track or select more than one track by going through. So if I wanted to just record or just send this sample with some of the music, I can do that as well. So I can do let's see. I can do File, Export, Export Selected Audio, and I have those choices again. So this would be like, hey, I'm working on something. What do you think? And you can actually change the settings on this. So you see the quality standard here. And that's like, like how many bits per second that it will encode it at. Standard's fine for most applications, honestly. And if you don't have like a good memory or whatnot, honestly, I would pick standard for most applications. You can hit save, and I can just email that to someone and or drop it in Dropbox and just be like, how's this sound so far? And what's cool is you can sample different tracks. So if, for example, you have two different cuts, let's say I put in 2 different sets of music, you can export both, but both will be in your project, which is actually kind of cool. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't see any more questions over there. But that is available there. Ooh, I had a lot of drop frames. All right. So I'm just going to check the email and just see if anyone, or Twitter, just to see if anyone wrote in. No, I don't see anything. Are there any other questions? I'll hanging out for a little bit, because we started a couple minutes late. And I'm sorry I goofed with the sharing of my screen before. Whoops, you know. All right. So I'm just pausing here. And, there is one thing I wanted to point out. I mentioned that I had a plugin before. It's a good idea to go and look at some of these preferences at the beginning of when you install this particular software. So if you actually go to the audacityteam.org, and I'll bring this up so you can see really nice and big. This is where you would actually download Audacity from. Should have started with that at the top of the hour. And I'll actually pop this into the chat here so you can see that. Oops. Too many windows. I wish I had two screens. That would make my life so much easier. But this is where you would download Audacity, and you can download for Windows, Mac, and actually Linux, which is pretty awesome. And they came out with a release date right on St. Paddy's Day, which is pretty cool. If you were to download this, it actually points to another website if you're going to download this, and it's on FossHub. This is the actual real download link. I know it can be scary when you're just like, why am I being brought to this particular weird page? But this is actually the download page. The other thing I was going to say is when you're installing Audacity at the beginning, if you go into preferences and you want access to these extra versions, what's nice about Audacity now is you can use an MP3, but if you wanted to, say, work with FLAC files or whatever other files that you need for a specific program, you'll have to download this FFmpeg library. So there are instructions how to do that online. If you actually go to this download button, it will bring you to the wiki, which I actually really recommend you go and look at. And so you can go here. It's for the Mac, the Windows, and the and Linux. And basically you can follow the instructions here, and it will walk you through it. So let me just pop back here. Oh my God, I did it again. I didn't show the screen. Ah, I just realized that. I'm so sorry. Sorry, guys. So so what I was saying before is if you go to audacityteam.org, you can click on download Audacity and come here to the Mac version. You heard me say this before, but you can click on this link, or if you have the Windows version, you can go and you can click on that. Most folks, if you have the Windows version for Windows 10, make sure you just check your whether or not you have a 32 or 64-bit operating system. But for Mac, if you go in here, you can download the DMG file. And I will go over the preferences again. I can't believe I did that twice. So if you go to File, Audacity, if you go to Edit, if you go to File, if you go to Audacity and then Preferences, this is what I was talking about. Audacity and then Preferences. This is what I was talking about. The libraries. This will allow you to transcode your media into some specialized file formats. Most people won't need this, but like it's helpful to have. If you click download, this is that wiki I was talking about, and you can click on those links and learn how to do this. So I'm sorry I missed that before. I can't believe I did that again. Here's the instructions, but you install it. It sounds crazy because it brings you to this buonzo.org page. And again, make sure that you are paying attention if you're on Mac or on Windows, if you have a 32-bit operating system or a 64-bit. But this for Mac is 64-bit, and you can download the FFmpeg package here and install it. I'm sorry. Can't believe I did that again. So I think I'm just going to hang out for another couple of minutes. If folks have any more questions, I will make sure to have the correct screen up. Oh, I can't believe I did that again. But I definitely, if you have any more questions about resources at the Kirstein Business Library, or if you have any resources that I can point you to about in terms of further learning, I'd be happy to do that. And I wanted to thank everybody today who joined me. And if you have any questions, let me know. You can email us at ask@bpl.org. And you can also read up about some of this stuff on the actual Audacity wiki, which, actually, this is the manual that's been downloaded on my computer. But you can actually go to the audacityteam.com. And I'll pop that in the chat. I think I already did, but I might as well pop it in again, because that would be my luck. I should have put this in a different window. So folks can get access to this. So, any questions? Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Are there any option? Is there any option to collaborate with other people on this platform similar to BandLab? I'm not familiar with BandLab, but are you talking about recording multiple tracks from different sources? Because you can have a conversation with someone like over Zoom. Let's actually see. I don't know what BandLab is. I'm going to look that up. BandLab. Make music online. Interesting. Well, thank you for enlightening me to BandLab for this. This is a cool resource. I'm going to go digging on this. I'm sorry I don't have a good answer for you. But I know that, let's see. So, oh, I think I understand your question now. So it's not necessarily a platform. It's a software you download directly to your workstation. And it's not cloud-based. It's like on your desktop. So you would be sharing files back and forth. It wouldn't necessarily, this appears to be, and I'll pull this up on the screen so people can see. This appears to be cloud-based, it sounds like. So this is actually a really cool resource. Thank you for pointing that out. You can download it to the iOS and Android. Interesting. Let's see. Well, this looks really cool. I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sorry. BandLab is free and has options for people to collaborate and record things on a shared projects. Yeah. Yeah, this is different. It's more like this would be good. It allows you to sharing virtually. So is Audacity closer to GarageBand? Right on it. Exactly. You can record audio from multiple sources with Audacity. That can be a little weird if you're on Windows. Mac has a little bit more flexibility. You can create something called I know this is not what you're asking, but you can create something called an aggregate device. Yeah, so that's cool. I'll definitely look into BandLab and just see. Since everything's so remote recently, that actually is a good resource. So thank you for pointing that out to me, and I'm definitely going to do some more research. But yes, this is Audacity is purely a desktop app, and it's a little harder to collaborate with people. You can share the packages that you see here. Oh, am I sharing the screen? Oh, thank God. Let's see. But yeah, you can do that as well. Let's see. Any other questions before I duck out? And thank you for sharing that, and thank you for your thoughtful questions. Sorry about me not sharing the screen. Technology. Still getting used to these things. Should probably actually make some hotkeys so I don't forget to do that. Switching. All right, I think we're done for the day. So I wanted to thank y'all for joining me on the stream today, and I thought if folks had fun. If you pre-registered, I'll send out a link, but actually there is one more resource, and I'm going to pop it into the chat that you might find helpful. And I forgot to mention this at the beginning. So the Boston Public Library subscribes to something called LinkedIn Learning currently. But you can use this for right now. Is our current online class platform. This is subject to change if we choose to go with a different platform provider. But if you have a library card with us, you are welcome to sign in and take some training online. So I just popped that into the chat. So if folks want to learn on your own and do some self-paced learning, LinkedIn Learning, which was formerly lynda.com, you can sign with your library card and PIN and actually go more in depth on audio mixing and all that jazz. All right. Have a good evening, folks, and thanks for stopping by.